green, right? The more we can get there, the more they got you. Next slide. Don't think there's not a lot of money in green grift. 2020 reports, I'm waiting for the 2022 reports to come out. If you look at the top 12 largest nonprofits, that would be the National Resources Defense Council, the Sierra Club, the Audubon Society, the World Wildlife Fund, and a bunch of others. If you look at the top 12, $3 billion. What? We're about a $4 million a year organization. My boss busts his hump to raise $4 million a year. They get $3 billion with a B dollars between 12 of them. NRDC $714 million in 2020. What did that get us as a population? Well, they have offices in New York, San Francisco, and Shanghai. Cool. No doubt. They're there to fight the Shanghai coal plants, right? They're there to take China's money. They filed 32,000 lawsuits in 2021 in the middle of COVID because they didn't have anything else to do. Not one of those was to promote traditional energy development. 31,000 of them were filed against US-based projects, 1,000 across the rest of the world. 32,000. Like, that's one per employee. Guys, this is serious. They hate you. They hate America. And Polly, the poetry major from Princeton, who lives in Greenwich now, ain't writing enough checks out of her $30,000 a year job to sustain $3 billion. So where's the money coming from? I'll let you draw your own conclusion because I'm not a political organization, I'm an advocacy one, right? Next slide. So how do we fight back? Anybody who's seen me give a talk like this knows what's coming next, right? We gotta fight together. We have to fight together. There's strength in numbers. David ultimately had to fire the rock. A lot of other people talked a really good game. Goliath talked a great game. David ultimately had to fire the rock. We need to fire the rock. Right? If we don't, economic ruin, communism, a lost Alaska, tripling of energy prices. Next slide. So how do we fight back? You can just fire through it. Surrogacy, volunteering, and funding. Surrogacy, I'll talk about it again, you guys, if you've watched this before, or at least talked with me before. I'm big on surrogacy. Let me give you an example. I used to have a slide in here. I wrote an op-ed back in July in the Daily News. And within 11 days, there were 5 responses in the Anchorage Daily News calling me out for my oil slick stupidity, for being bought and paid for by carbon emitting, climate denying, organizations, whatever. I don't like taking shots, but 5 in 11 days was kind of like, whew. Wrote another one in October. In 7 days, there were 7 pieces. Those are not organic. Somebody waking up in the middle of the night going, God, that article by Rick, I'm just going to write something because he's an idiot. Those are campaigns by those same people that are fighting Akluna, fighting for a wind project in the valley, fighting for a solar array to replace coal. Those are politically driven, charged campaigns where they have a list of 400 volunteers and they go, Pat, you're gonna write one on Rick. Linda, you're gonna write one on Rick. I'm gonna save you for a next one, Robert, because you wrote one on Rick last time. Oh, Ed, you hate Rick. You gotta write one on Rick, and you're like, heck yeah, just write it for me and I'll put my name on it. And that's surrogacy. You can do it the opposite. I am happy to write anybody. And some of you in here have written them for. Couple, right? I mean, like, I'm looking around, I'm like, yeah, I did yours, and I did yours, and I did yours, and I did yours. And they go in. And the Daily News will run them, or Dispatch will run them, or Beacon, I mean. Juneau Empire will run them, Fairbanks will run them. They don't know that you didn't write them. You put them in under your name. You get to edit it. Let's turn the tables, guys. Because they're doing it to us. And by the way, I was joking earlier before we started this, I like taking shots, and I like punching. I like to punch and I don't mind getting punched. But 7 in 7 days, I felt like I was going up against Mike Tyson. It was like, okay, 1, 2. Wow, it's kind of cool. Getting a lot of ammo fired at me. And then they come out with one like from Kay Brown, who used to be a state legislator. And she writes this beautiful op-ed. I mean, it was well written, talking about climate denialism and pointing out 11 articles that I've written in the last 4 years, and how I am, she called me the Lorax of fossil fuels. I have it on my Twitter bio now. Remember the Lorax? I speak for the trees have no voice, right? I speak for the oil companies because they have no voice. I mean, whatever, I thought it was kind of cute. But that was day 5. You can turn the tables. Help me, I'll write them. Give me names. Volunteer for campaigns, whether it's congressional, utility board, state house, borough mayor. We need good, policy-driven, ethical, smart, immovable, Christ-centered people in every level of government. We need people who care, not people who will let themselves be controlled. Next slide. We might be done. Yeah, I guess we're done. There's my contact info. Here's the thing, guys. Energy's on the ballot in 2024. And it'll be on the ballot in 2026. It'll be on the ballot in 2028. It'll be on local boards in 25 and 27 and 29. It's not going away because it underpins everything. Everything we do is dependent on good, clean, reliable, low cost to produce, low cost to deliver. What did I say? Reliable? Reliable energy. I know that Alaska has 150 years of natural gas up on this slope, about 100 years of known coal reserves. We have great tidal opportunities. We have geothermal opportunities. We have a great dam opportunity in Susitna. We have an existing opportunity at Akluma. We have a great number of dams in Southeast. We have wind on Kodiak. But remember, in order to make a wind turbine or a solar panel, there's only one energy source that burns hot enough to fuse and to fuse those solar panels. It's coal. China's opening up 2 coal-fired power plants a week. It takes them 14 months from we are opening it to production. It takes the average US project 17 years, 14 years, if you're lucky. They're not stopping. Their Belt and Road Initiative says that they will be the worldwide leader in manufacturing by 2040. They will be the controlled country in the world economy by 2040. And we have pistachio mint there, more worried about empowering them than putting Americans to work. With that, I'm sure there are questions, comments. Fire away. I told you I'd be quick at that.
Do you want me to do the line? Like the line?
You want to line them up against the wall?
Well, that's what I'm asking you. What you want me to do?
Line them up against the wall. What are we doing here? Line them up.
Rick, I want to thank you for bringing up our MEA board. I'm trying to help Bill Kendick get reelected, and he believes he's going to need about $30,000. It's a campaign, guys.
It is now. They made it that way. The Alaska Center and REAP and all those guys started throwing money in 3 years ago. We didn't realize it, I don't think, as a consumer side until last year. They waxed us the last 3 years.
Yep, he's expecting there's going to be $100K that comes into the state. He's asking for 30 for him to be able to do this. He has a website, it's billkendick.com. There is a place you can donate there. It's not involved with APOC at all. There's no limits, and he needs some help. So if we want to keep our energy, keep the hydro plants, make things happen, we need to help him with that. And he's very grateful that
Cool.
All right.
Bill's a great guy.
When's the election?
It's in April?
April.
Yep.
Yeah, all the utility board elections basically happen between April and May. There will be more known about this year than probably any year, because last year, the Alaska Center spent almost $100,000 pushing candidates in Anchorage and Homer, and won 4 out of the 6 seats of those boards. It was kind of ugly. We need to take it back. Question?
Thank you for any articles you get out that if they get in the Watchman or Must Read, because that's only, I don't get that.
That other thing? Yes.
Whatever they are. And are you ever able to go and talk to any schools or youth people? And I mean, you know, some of us aren't youth anymore. And are they hearing, I mean, I don't know where any of these people hear anything decent. Because if they're public educated, they're not going to hear anything decent. So I just was curious if you ever have the opportunity to, you know, talk to, maybe there'd be 1 in 100 that would say, oh, that's a pretty good idea.
It's tough.
And one other question I got is, why are we so allergic to coal? I don't work for Usa Valley, but I've been around Healy a lot, I've been around Fairbanks a lot. Most people don't even know it's there. The power plants are clean. I've been at that power plant in Healy many times. You know, people are so allergic to coal, and it's probably one of our cheapest resources. You know, stupid MEA goes over here. They should have built it at Wishbone Hill. You know, but we're so allergic to coal when we just don't do anything with it. Thank you.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the kids, right? I spoke to a 6th grade classroom last year at Sand Lake Elementary in Anchorage, because a parent who volunteered there every couple of weeks was like, want to come in and have some fun? I'm like, heck yeah, let's go. I started the conversation with, all right, how many of you guys think there's a climate crisis right now? And out of the 27 kids in the class, I had 11 of them raise their hand. And I said, define climate crisis. Well, the world's going to burn up. Okay. What about you? The girl goes, we're all going to die because of rising sea levels. So what about you? We're all going to choke because of carbon. Has it monoxide or dioxide? Whatever's bad. Okay, one word's bad. One word bad. One is life-giving, one is not really good. Which one? She goes, whichever one my mom says is really bad for us. Okay? So So what about you? This is the greatest answer, right? I don't know, but my dad tells me all the time that I'm not going to be able to have kids because the world's going to end. Your dad tells you that? Like, that's what he's telling you at home? She's like, yeah. So what's your dad do? He's an environmental scientist. Okay. Why do you have you? I didn't say that, but I'm thinking to myself, like, what are you doing? But you gotta realize, this goes back, if I'm gonna put on my tin foil hat for a second, which I'm not crazy, this goes back to control. When you have Prince Harry saying, we shouldn't have had kids because they're gonna be in a climate emergency their entire lives. And you have people that say, well, we can't sustain the life we have because 7 billion people that are supposed to be 9 billion by the end of the century can't live in a world that's burning. We need to cull 2 billion people, 1.9 billion people to make the planet inhabitable. How are they going to get there? That's 2/7 of this room. Hey, you, and you, and you, to save the planet, have to go away today. I'm sorry. But that's truly what this climate cult believes. The world is burning, there's overpopulation, we have to be able to control people, we have to be able to make them go away, we have to save the planet. I mean, like, it's a religion. Second part, coal. Oh, I love coal. I love coal. Why? Because you can't make steel without coal. You can't make concrete without coal. You can't make pharmaceuticals without coal. You can't make 3/4 of what you touch each and every day without coal. It's the only thing that burns hot enough. Until we figure out fission, we need coal. I have one more thing on coal. Coal is only dirty because the eco-left says it's dirty. The billions of dollars that people raise to fight traditional energy, Michael Bloomberg has given 1.7 billion, with a B, of his own wealth to the Sierra Club over the last 11 years to do what's called the Beyond Coal and Beyond Carbon campaign. They looked at every coal-fired power plant and every coal mine in America 11 years ago, and Bloomberg said, you figure out how to shut them down, I'll figure out how to pay for it. 1.7 billion, they're down to the final 200. Well, I know where 4 of them are. And I know where there's a really big mine. And they're coming for them. Usabelli and GVEA are squarely in the target. And 1.7 billion, he just gave 500 million in, I think, September. Might have been July, last year. 500 million more. Made it went from 1.2 to 1.7. And said, we will finish this by 2030. Not only is it a great power source and necessary for manufacturing, but Usabelli is the philanthropic driver in the interior. Go to Fairbanks, go to the fine arts, go to the campus, go to soccer games, go to churches, go to gyms. Usabelli's name is on everything. And it is down here too. Not as much, but in Fairbanks it's everything. They are the philanthropic driver. They're 400 employees. Those go away. Michael Bloomberg doesn't care. He just writes another $20 million check and says, yeah, we won. What happens to those people? Power of the Future started because Daniel knew families in West Virginia who were devastated by the first war on coal from the Obama days. And he got sick and tired of watching these mines shut down, clean air and water waivers go away that had been there for 4 generations. And said, nobody's fighting back for these families. Nobody's fighting back for these jobs. Somebody needs to. So that's where Power of the Future came from. We're about a 6.5-year old organization. I just passed my 5-year anniversary. I was employee number 1. We have 2. There's Daniel, me, and a guy named Larry. But out of the 3 of us, we had almost 5,000 media hits last year. We hustle. Why? Because we have to. Because there's 3 billion in the other 12 opponents. No, there were other questions. Sorry with the long answer.
I've got the mic. My name's Mel Glott, and I'm a geologist. And I've got a background in oil and gas and mining. And I'm 63 years old, and I've been around the block a few times, riding the highs and lows of the economy, especially in Alaska in the 80s. I have a number of comments for you. A, do you work with Dave Walsh?
No.
Okay, I encourage you to. Dave Walsh is national, and he's fighting the fight again for Florida.
Okay.
Because they're creaming Florida on the energy market, trying to replace it with alternative energy. And he is a guru. He used to be president of Mitsubishi Engines. Generators, he's amazing.
If you could give me a contact with Dave, I'd love to meet Dave. Perfect.
War Room with Steve Bannon. Dave
Yep.
Walsh is a guru. Secondly, I'm a little confused from my background, which also includes commodities. My dad used to run the Board of Trade in the 1960s, so I grew up in a commodities background. At any rate, so I haven't been keeping track, mainly because I got bad eyes now, of what's going on with this captured carbon to solicit monies from the federal government. Where I'm concerned is that we look like hypocrites. We want to push oil, gas, coal, etc., but at the same time, we're more than happy to take federal monies. Can you address that for me, please? Because we look like hypocrites, and I'm well aware of the fact that we are a target. Alaska is always a target because we're weak, in my view. We need some powerhouses to help us out. I'd be more than happy to volunteer to help the state in any capacity that I can. We need volunteer forces. Thank you.
Absolutely. So let's talk about carbon. Last time I checked, carbon dioxide was not bad. Last time I checked, carbon dioxide was really good. Last time I checked, the only people pushing for carbon removal are the people who believe that carbon dioxide is bad. Last time I checked, sure, mask up, because it really worked. So, if you capture carbon and if you capture carbon, I'm going to be very careful. No, screw it. If you capture carbon as a source of revenue, if you are stupid enough to think that capturing carbon as a source of revenue is going to save the planet, thank you. If you are capturing carbon to save the planet or offset your emissions, and you think that neutralizing domestic energy production is somehow bad or somehow good, then you're missing the point. What's good is producing domestic, reliable, low-cost, job-creating, mostly clean energy. 59. He said it, I didn't. He said idiots.
Idiots.
There is zero, Rick Whitbeck, Power of the Future, sorry to the legislators and the governor, there is zero need to capture carbon to save the planet. There is only need to capture carbon if you believe the language of the left that somehow carbon is bad. So far, I haven't been convinced.
How do we capture it?
You inject it into caverns underground, or you don't.
How do you capture it?
Oh, it's like Pokemon.
You get these large plants, capture the carbon in the air. And then
I mean, the science is the same science that says that pulling CO2 out of the atmosphere, storing it, injecting it underground, somehow removes the... I can't even, like, it's like so... Yeah. Suck it out of the air, pressurize it, inject it, and it somehow cleans the atmosphere. It somehow takes away and offsets and sequesters in unbreakable caverns carbon, which is bad. Again, why give the language of the left credence when it's so stupid?
let me just add one thing.
Because they're what?
One thing. And it's free, right? It's not going to cost you a penny.
Ken, you've been really quiet over there.
You know about flash and carbon? You get graphene 200 times stronger than steel by weight. Put it in concrete, put it in asphalt, and you've got tremendously stronger material. Plus, it's got a tremendous molecular structure there.
Graphene?
Graphene.
Yeah, graphene. Graphene comes from 80s.
Carbon, anything you can flash any carbon, and you can flash all your
I think the number is 81%
and the metal out of it.
of worldwide graphene comes from what country?
It's 200 times stronger than steel by weight. You can throw it in concrete, increase the strength of concrete 30%. Put it in asphalt, same thing with asphalt.
But we're not allowed to make anything in America because we have a carbon footprint.
We have a graphene mine.
We have a graphite mine that could be amazing for the U.S. Graphite one that will byproduct graphene. 81% of the world's graphene comes
You
from.
can flash all carbon core and all your garbage is mainly carbon. You take the steel out of it, you take the metal out of it, you take the glass out of it. Now you flash that. And if you want to know about it, tours, go out to tours to, I see he's a chemist, PhD chemist, and got all kinds of.
Got rice.
So, but it's such a miraculous material, graphene.
And it wouldn't be around without traditional energy.
Like I say, 200 times stronger than steel by weight. You can imagine what it does.
You get it as a byproduct of graphite mining.
Get
We have a great one outside of Nome, the Graphite One. Again, I think it's 81%. I could be wrong. Somebody want to check me there, feel free, but I think it's 81%. Other questions?
Sir, you mentioned Barry shutting down coal mining. Has anybody looked at the link between closing down the coal mining and pandering to China? The connection between Biden and Barry and China?
These citizens are really.
So, yes, we had I thought we were going to have a congressional inquiry into the dark money trail between foreign governments and these top 12 NGOs. We actually had it all queued up for the 2022 election, and then the red wave became a red pebble, right? I am hoping, because that is still fired up by people like Elise Stefanik and Harriet Hageman from Wyoming, and hopefully Nick Begich or Nancy Dahlstrom. I am not a political organization. I'm an advocacy organization. I don't get to pick and choose publicly. does. So, I mean, I have my favorite, but you won't hear it come from me today. I'm hoping that once we take the House back fully and get it where it's not a 7-person majority, that we can actually do something, get the Senate back, start an inquiry, figure out where these $3 billion are coming from. $3 billion are not coming from you and I. I mean, again, I use Polly, the poetry major from Princeton. She's making $35,000 a year. She's not writing checks to cover $3 billion. Michael Bloomberg's not covering checks for $3 billion. Mr. Martin.
Hey, thanks, Rick. I wanted to ask you for a little bit more clarification on the bill that Representative Sumner sponsored, is that correct?
Yeah.
And
House Bill 121.
House Bill 121, our own Valley Representative Sumner sponsored that, and that is a green energy, kill our jobs, destroy our economies garbage bill. Am I understanding correctly?
It is the Renewable Portfolio Standard for the House, the same thing that Lukey Tobin introduced in the Senate and Jesse Bjorkman is holding up in Labor and Commerce.
And you're very skeptical about Mr. Bjorkman's either ability or willingness to kill that?
No, I didn't say that. I said we have seen majorities that are run by Democrats before, right? Because it is a 9-8 Democratic majority in the Senate coalition. Make no mistakes. It's 9-8 in declared Democrats to Republicans.
2 independents, right?
It's 9-8 declared Democrats to Republicans. Yes, there are 2 independents in there.
Which means undeclared Democrats.
There are.
I run a political organization.
Yes, I know you do.
Speak clearly.
So, I think Jesse will stick to his word as much as Jesse can stick to his word. This is Bjorkman. I also think that there are 16 other people, of which I think 11 or 12 of them would like to see that pass. And so if you roll the chair or advance it out of committee on a waive the referral basis, the good news is I don't think it gets through the House, even if it gets through the Senate. But if it gets through the Senate, for some strange reason, that's bad, because it gives credence and credibility to the ballot measure people, the Alaska Centers and the people that'll fund that. I'll be going down next week, the 31st, to Juneau, and my first stop is into Mr. Bjorkman's office with my boss, who might hate renewable portfolio standards more than I do. They're just evil. I mean, here's the thing. The first countries to start RPS legislation were the countries that are dying in Europe. $1 trillion spent between Germany, France, Switzerland. Highest 3 energy prices in the developed Western world in the last 2 years. Germany 1, France 2, Switzerland 1 like 6.
Can I ask you one closing question?
Yep.
So, to what degree did you have the feeling that there'd be a 59-1 vote for the carbon sequestration bill? And
it was 1. I apologize. It was 59-1. You're right.
Yeah. Actually, it's 61 because the governor signed off, so let's be clear. But what I'm really asking, though, is the carbon capture program, we all thought didn't have a hope of passing the House, and it flew through there like greased butter, whatever. What makes you think that this other program won't pass through the House? Did they gain some wisdom over Christmas that hasn't yet been demonstrated?
Advocacy and education only. I think there's a huge difference between what the governor has asked for in legislation, like his carbon bills, and remember, the governor put the first RPS legislation in back in 2021. Our governor put the first piece of RPS legislation in back in 2021. As a matter of fact, he got me a very stern 5-minute one-on-one with him when I wrote a piece in Must Read about how stupid would it be for the state of Alaska to enact renewable portfolio standards when the Republican governor knows that he has 200 years of natural gas sitting up on the slope. I don't cross him very often. I don't think it's really smart to publicly, Reagan's rule, right? 11th commandment, don't take out your fellow Republican. But sometimes, my dad taught me that stupid should hurt. Should. Sometimes you just have to.
You can't stop it.
Sometimes stupid should hurt. I was to say that. That answer your question, Pat?
Well, I've been, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
Instead of stupid, we should be thinking common sense. So, I feel that, you're talking about talking to 6th graders. I mean, that's a nice thought and a nice idea, to have some little workshops with them. But I really feel that you need to concentrate on the high school students, the career tech students, those that are working, on making decisions for their future, and then hopefully the universities. And I know they're difficult because we have a lot of, darkness going on in our education system, but you still have to pursue it. And and I'm just trying to put out some thoughts.
I'm with you.
That this is extremely important to raise up our next generation. And then I've been, concerning energy and energy jobs because, we've been hit so hard with drugs, so it's taking away even the desire to work. And so that's creating a real problem in our state. And so just listening to Trump for the past couple of days, with all his speeches, he says a lot of the same things, but still, he's taking up Sarah Palin's, motto, drill, baby, drill. And so really, our whole nation is looking toward the states, probably Texas and Alaska, to really open up and to form these jobs and opportunities because it is common sense. Our life is depending on it. And so it's a matter of re-educating our youth. So I just wanted to know what your plan is, if you can, broaden your spectrum of who you talk to, because our youth is our next resource.
So Kathy McCall and I had a conversation when I spoke to one of the women's groups here a couple months ago. And I said, please figure out how to get me in front of a high school class. I would love to talk to high school kids. In 2019, so I started with Power of the Future January 1st of 2019. May of 2019, I went up to UAF. And I had a mining engineering class that invited me to come up and speak. Thought it was awesome. And I started the conversation with, realize that the day you declare your major, people hate you. Realize the day that you declare your major, there are people trying to put you out of work. And realize the day that you declared your major, you became a target for the eco-left. And you should have seen these guys. They're like sitting there going, really? Absolutely. Because people don't think about the politics, right? They want to work for Isabella. They want to work in critical and strategic minerals. They want to work in, for Fort Knox, or they want to work for Donlin or Pebble or wherever. They don't think about the fact that there are billions of dollars being spent every year to put them out of work before they ever get to work. So that was one of the most fascinatingly fun deer in the headlight, talked to 75 kids, had them scared junkless when we were done. One of them's like, I'm changing my major tomorrow. I'm like, no, please don't do that. We need you, right? Like, we need more of you. But we also need you to go with your eyes wide open. We need you to go through school understanding how much of an amazing impact you get to make on society. Because if there aren't enough of you, then the U.S. can't domestically produce We can't mine, can't process, can't produce, right? We need them. I have yet to get an invite from a high school. I have tried. I have tried economics teachers, I have tried life skills teachers, I have tried history teachers that I know in Anchorage. Now again, it's Anchorage. I have tried school board members, I have tried principals, I have tried parents. So again, I am happy to go talk to anybody. I just need an invite. If you can give me an invite, let's go.
Is that all over the state?
I'd go wherever.
How many people would we have to gather for you to come?
6, 5, lunchtime,
Families?
homeschool families or charter school families or something like that, I don't know.
Homeschool.
If it was drivable, if I have to fly to Bethel, it would be tougher, but Bethel needs energy realism. Again, guys, my cards are on the back. A lot of you have already taken them over the years, but I'm happy to do whatever. This is a 3-person operation, but send me. I'm happy to go. Questions, comments? Oh, you've got the mic.
I'm sorry. Hey, this is more informational and you comment on, like, one of the big things that was missed in the news is the Regulatory Commission of Alaska had a unanimous vote in December on renewables.
On the renewable portfolios.
Yes, the renewable portfolios, yeah. And for everybody knows, our RCA are the people that protect Alaskans in all the rate cases and all the generation. And it didn't go in the news. In fact, one of our team members had to actually request the transcript from that. They didn't publish it on the website required. So just so you know, and as it goes in SB 101 and HB 121, they just bypass it, don't even mention having the RCA involved in it anymore. The mandatory thing will go past them and never get your considerations from our commission that protected you in that way. And just for everybody, you're talking about the renewable, what's the renewable percentage without hydro, and what's the capacity factor of all the other renewables besides hydro?
You know that number better than I know that number, just say
Okay.
it, Ken.
Well, I don't.
I love you,
If
just
take
ask me
hydro-
that question, you know it.
Yeah, if you take hydro out of the mix, which I don't consider part, they're using it, they're kind of hitting two-faced on that because they used their deferred fuel savings, and it's all hydro. Because the windmills and solar are minuscule in those capacities. So when you read these, say, 87 million gallons of diesel with the renewables, that's because of Bradley and because of pollutant. That's not because of windmills.
And because of Southeast.
Yeah. And so when you take hydro out of there, our renewable portfolio is just a bunch of toys up there. The great big wind farm up there by Delta, all 2 months out of the year runs at 11% or less capacity factor. That means they charge us for nameplate, and we get 11% out of that nameplate. Same, and I had to dig in their files to find it out for Fire Island. It's better because it's out there in the water, and it's in the low 30s on a good year. So they charged us for 17 megawatts, we get about 5 out of the thing. And those are the wind farms. And the solar plant they brag about up here, that you see snow covered right now, I finally got the number from them, 11% capacity factor. So they can brag about it all they want, but the hydro doesn't fit in that because hydro is physics and you can turn it on and off at will. And they use that to buffer the other toys. And so just to know the truth about renewables, and just as a note, I know you can't say this, but the governor is on board with renewable. He has instituted a lot of this stuff. And we need to think about that when we go to the next election and ask these questions. Who's going to go to renewable and what is the renewable portfolio standard? Who are they dealing with? And you're talking about the likes who are funding these NGOs right here, Berkshire Hathaway Energy Corporation and some of the other big guys. They're dumping millions against us, and that's why he says when we got to get out there and like get these board members, NGOs are a scourge on the state. They call it non-governmental organizations, and they go under nonprofit. Well, that little, like Earth Justice and all these other people had their little toe in the Willow decision. They don't make money themselves other than their paychecks, but they're funded by people who make tons and gobs of money off of this stuff. That's what we're fighting against.
Let me jump in really fast. Not that I'm trying to cut you off, because
No,
it's all valuable. But think about this. We talk about eco-hypocrisy, right? We talk about Michael Bloomberg has private jets that he flies in all over the place. But he offsets it with carbon offsets. Bill Gates, eco-hypocrite. Tom Steyer. Tom Steyer ran for president, multi-billionaire, throws tons and tons of money. Guess what his largest investment asset is? Try it. Foreign
Oil and gas.
coal. The largest amount of money that he has made over his career as a broker of commodities is in foreign coal in third world countries. But I'll be doggone if he'll let a coal plant get fired up here in Alaska or in the US. Come on. John Kerry? Mr. Ketchup? I mean, like, good thing his wife has money.
Indeed.
Because he gets to fly all over the world. You know what he says? That's the only way that I can travel, because I have to be places that wouldn't be very creative, but I offset. You offset with trees, and you offset with dumping a bunch of carbon in the ground, and hypocrites. He has the mic.
Okay, you got it. What about Jesse Sumner? He's from our area here. Do you think he would, if we talked to him about withdrawing the bill that he just put in?
It's a great question. Let me tell you what Jesse said.
What did Jesse say?
So I called Jesse. I called Jesse the day he put it in, left him a message. Didn't hear back. Texted him the next day, said, dude, what up? Called me back the next day. So day 3, which is good. I mean, he's busy, I get that. Well, I put it in because I want to control the narrative in the house. Now, Jesse's a smart dude. I am not bashing Jesse Sumner. Jesse Sumner's a really smart, younger guy. And I said, control what narrative? Well, I told Senator Tobin that I would be happy to sponsor it because then I get to control where it goes in the House. Dude, only one of them has to pass. If you sit on yours and she gets hers through, well, I get to control it once it comes to the House. What does that mean, Jesse? Well, I get to control it once it comes to the House. Why do you give credence and credibility to something that we don't need, Jesse? Well, I get to control it once it comes to the House. And again, I'm making it really simplistic. Carbon isn't bad. Why are we giving the left? We talk about putting the camel's nose under the tent. Oh, it's not gonna be that bad. We'll give them that inch. Anybody want to talk about societal ills that started that way? Anybody want to talk about foreign aid that started that way? Anybody want to talk about energy policy that started that way? Anybody want to talk about immigration that started that way? Anybody want to talk about any of the challenges that we're facing as a nation today that may have started by allowing the camel's nose under the tent? I know you do. Every sin started with acceptance. Every challenge started with compromise. Yeah, it can't be that bad. I will say this. He's not going to withdraw it because he's not going to need to. Because it's not good. I'm trusting Bjorkman. But it was a very interesting answer from a guy that I like, and I like politically. But it was a really bad look. And I'm telling friends of his, I'm sure, out here, it was stupid. It was not the smartest piece of legislation he's ever put in. Question. And Ed and I can do this all night, so hook me when you need to hook me.
This is just an observation, but I think we have way more rhinos that we think are Republicans than we can even believe. But the question I really have is, you or him, or that including thing, I went to that meeting in Palmer Depot last week.
Yep.
And I'm probably the only person in this room that doesn't really understand it all. But it seems like what they were saying, they had like 8 or 10 options.
Yep.
And including the natives and different people want the dam removed. It was like 400 and some million. And they said that doesn't cover any of the engineering to redo the Glen Highway, because they said the bridges and everything that cross the road cannot withstand having that removed. It was never engineered for that. And then they said because MEA and Chugiak and municipality of Anchorage purchased it from the federal government, they had 30 years or something they got to come up with this plan. And the cheapest plan they had was like 40-some million or something.
40-ish, so removing the dam entirely was about a $300 to $400 million project. Mitigating and enhancing, because those are the two key words according to the agreement. There's nothing about restoration, so let's get this clear. The 1991 agreement that Eklutna and the native village of Eklutna and Cook and Keeper and Conservation Fund and Alaska Center and Susitna River people who should just stick to their own river, and others are trying to get the dam removed with, it's about a $300 to $400 million project. The mitigation, allowing water to flow 11 miles out of the 12-mile river, restoring some spawning ground, things like that, is about a $45 million, but I'm going to give you another number that'll make that number higher, project. And doing what the compromise is from the owners, it's about a $5 million project. But again, that's an increase in cost to you as a ratepayer. It's an increase to me it doesn't hit you guys on a mill rate, but it hits me in Anchorage. Not big time money, but again, everything's going up, right?
Where would you get the water from?
Well, under the remove the dam project, they haven't quite figured that out yet. That would have to be studied. Under the mitigation, you would still get flow into Anchorage, and under what the owners are proposing, you would get flow. You would still be able to keep the water at the 90% of the water. The engineering is silly, but here's the biggest thing, and I'm going to finish this with this if you don't mind. Whether or not you believe, and I don't really, I think we have more of a supply issue, we have more of a production issue than a supply issue with Cook Inlet. There's trillions of cubic feet of natural gas in the inlet. You just have to get past the challenges of producing it, whether that's capital, NGOs filing lawsuits, unpaid oil tax relief that the legislature has refused to pay that for the last 7 or 8 years. Is it? Regulatory problems, geopolitics. There's a 1.9 trillion-ish cubic feet of natural gas in the inlet.
But the part that I'm not clear on is if they do of all those options, if they do that least costly, the 40, 45, whatever they said was the least costly, that it said it's going to decrease, whatever they do, but it's going to decrease the efficiency of that plant by 6% or 10% or something.
Yes.
So we're going to, do they absolutely have to do anything? Are they required by law? Or can they just leave it or enhance it?
They could just leave it.
And get more. So
the compromise, remember we just talked about camels and noses, right? The compromise, I think, went too far. That's my opinion. Yeah. That is not they went and included organizations like Trout Unlimited in the negotiation. The Native Village of Eklutna, which is not a party to the 1991 agreement. There was no reason to include the Native Village of Eklutna other than out of the goodness of the producer's heart, or the owner's heart. Okay, now, I actually think it was a smart political move to involve them. I think it was a smart political move to ask them what they wanted. It was a smart political move to take it to, like, opportunity cost modeling. I think it was stupid to give up what they gave up.
So can we, when we gotta respond or let the governor know, because he's gotta figure this out by October?
Yep.
Can we say, don't do anything with it, leave it the way it is? I mean,
You could.
Because why are we spending this money? I mean, it's ridiculous.
You could. I don't think that's really I don't think that's really a realistic answer because you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. They've already agreed that they are okay with capitulating X percent. Tough to put the toothpaste back in the tube. What you don't want, and I was talking to somebody from the native village of Include, one of the leaders, on Wednesday when I went to both meetings in Anchorage. And they said, and I quote, well, the original risk was that they would do nothing. That they would come back and say, we're not doing anything, we'll mitigate and enhance in another 35 years and let's study it and see what happens. So we sat down and said, well, if they want to give us 0 or that's the risk, let's go to 100. Just rip the dam out. And I said, oh, okay. And she said, it's a negotiation. And we're winning. Because we took them off 0, and if we get 30, it's 30% better than what we were going to get. If we get 25, still a win. If we get 35, heck yeah. Good public policy doesn't always have to be, yeah, thank you. And that was better than what I was going to say. Say that again.
Doesn't always have to be dollars.
Good public policy doesn't always have to be capitulation either. So, what they don't tell you in those $40 to $45 million or $5 million numbers is what the replacement cost of energy is. It's a 35-year plan. Does anybody want to tell me what the energy mix is going to be for South Central Alaska in 35 years? Anybody want to tell me what it's going to be in 3 years? If you believe the fact that there's a gas shortage and we're going to have to import LNG, or natural gas, through an LNG terminal, you could be looking at 2 to 2.5x your supply costs. Anybody want to pay 2.5 times what you're paying right now for power and heat? I don't. Want to talk about margins? Right, we had that conversation earlier. They didn't add those numbers into the replacement cost of energy if the dam goes away or the dam has to go offline for a year or two when they put a fish ladder in. As a matter of fact, when I went to their engineer, and I went with a couple of Ken's friends, and I said, hey, sir, what's the replacement cost of energy? How'd you guys figure that out? Because we're looking 35 years ahead. He said, it's formulary. I said, using what formula? Did you include cost of imported? There really wasn't a way to calculate that. What about a renewable portfolio standard? Did we include a renewable portfolio standard in the loss of energy and the lack of reliability? Well, there really wasn't a way to calculate for that. What the heck went in the formula? Well, it's a nationwide, worldwide way to look at the global cost of energy and then apply a multiplier to Alaska because we're higher than the average US cost of energy. Ooh. So it was a swag. Or it was vaporware. Well, how are you going to take any of those things into consideration? Well, we're going to have to firm it up a little bit. I said, okay, what's it going to do to the number? Well, it's probably going to increase it. So you're out here at these public meetings pitching a number that's somewhere between 40, 42, and $5 million, knowing that 20 to 25% of your overall number is vaporware. Because you can't look ahead 35 years because I mean, I've been married almost 32. If you would have told me what my wife would look like, I would have still married her because she's more beautiful today than she was 32 years ago. That was a good answer. But I couldn't tell you anything else about our life, like at that granularity, right? But that's kind of important, right? 35 years from now, I'll be dead. What's my kid gonna be doing? Paying 3x the cost of energy that was estimated because they wanted to rip out a dam? I just don't get it. So, Deborah, I love you. I know we're almost. I think you just do the less option. I think you look at the owner's. The owner's plan seems to be the least harmful capitulation. But again, it's toothpaste in tubes. The good news is Edna and her fellow mayors and Bronson and Ken Koval and a bunch of other impacted mayors up and down the rail belt are looking at what happens with cooking lit gas and how it impacts the utilities. God bless you guys on that because it's kind of a big deal. It's kind of important. You know, I know a lot of people that can't afford a 2X. I mean, I pay $250 during the winter for my gas, about $190 a month year round for my electricity. $30 during the summer, probably averages out to $150 and $190. So let's say $350 rough numbers between heat and power. $800, $900 a month scares me. Scares me. Like, it's not keeping me up at night, but it certainly is getting me active. Goes back to help me, right? Any other questions? Randy, I know you got one. Mike.
Volunteer campaign. Volunteer campaign.
Yep. And fund. Go back down one more, please. Click it one more time, please.
Because I know we need to help build.
Yep.
What other individuals that we need to discuss? I'm asking volunteers for campaigns, funds for favorite candidates, which is Bill Key. I know him. He was there last Thursday.
Yep.
What other individuals that we need to focus on and assist?
Are we talking utility board, or are we talking about state house, or are we talking about federally? Utilities. So again, it's Max Sumner and Bill Kindig this year. Next year, I don't remember, and I'm going to apologize, but if you go to mea.coop, you can find out who's up. It's 2 this year, I believe 3 next year, and then 2 the year after that. So, again, one of the things I love about the Valley is you guys tend not to make screw-ups and elect a bunch of Democrats. We can talk about rhinos, I get it. But you guys tend to basically stick to the smart game plan. Jim. That was such a non-political answer.
Hey, Rick.
Ken?
Right now, because Bjorkman is on the fence on this, if everybody could write him an email or a letter and tell him you don't want renewable portfolio standards, he's got all the information at his hands. So please write, support him. So he has that in his hand. He really needs it, and it will help. Also, because if nobody writes and supports his opinion on holding that up, he's gonna, they tend to barter those kind of positions away if they're not held strongly by us. Bjorkman.
Jesse Bjorkman, Senator Jesse Bjorkman, is basically in control of RPS in the Senate. So I'll say this, again, they listen, read, react based on public opinion more than they should. Right? Piece comes out on Eklutna in the Daily Worker 2 days later, the owners and the native village come out with a piece, kind of side by side, about we should rip the dam out from the native village. We should allow this compromise Fish and Wildlife plan to come through from the owners. 2 days after that, I write a wonderful op-ed, if I do say so myself, called "We should keep including the river and including the dam the way it is." And within 3 days, there are 3 pieces out there basically saying rip the dam out. Come on, guys. Like, this isn't, you know, I'd get a complex if it wasn't so much fun.
Is there a bill number on that board?
No. Renewable portfolio standards are Senate Bill 101, House Bill 121. The only vehicle right now that, because Jesse's in control of the House bill, is Senate Bill 101. But you can send Sumner a quick message that House Bill 121 might have been the
stupidest
piece of legislation he's ever put in. He's really gonna hate me when I see him in a week, but that's okay. It is okay. Because stupid should. Thank you, Dad. By the way, stupid hurts. I can tell you time after time. Anything else?
I'm trying to figure out how to send my POM in. We want to tell that we support 101?
No.
Okay, so, well, what about?
101 should die.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to screw up. So we want to say no on 101 and no on 121.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to be clear. I don't want to screw up. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. Anything else? I'm going to get educated, which is awesome.
Okay, so I'm back.
I love it.
Benny. All right, so I've been hearing all kinds of stuff. Number one, from me and my friends, the Alaska Miners Association, which I haven't attended to in years. The old stanza persists and always has in Alaska because we are a natural resource state, number one. Number two, if you can't grow it, you gotta mine it. Number three, take a look at the state of Idaho. They want to remove all the large dams. There is a Republican congressman who is backing all the states, the state of Idaho. I'm a former graduate. My alma mater is Utah State University, so I kind of watch the Intermountain West. But there is a pretty hardcore Republican person in the House that wants all the dams moved in the state of Idaho, which would be a disaster. So they're coming after us. Just understand, if everything goes to, you know what, we are incredibly resource rich. And personally, I wouldn't mind seceding, except for Russia and China, but we can make it. I think one thing that would be really powerful on the sidelines is to get our gold back dollars. That's incredibly important. So, and I'm sure you're well aware of all that, but with Captain Freeman, et cetera, that's a side angle. But anyway, we are incredibly resource rich. So we always have that in our back pocket, as you all know, whether it's a high or low market. So don't give up hope. Fight, fight, fight. Comments. However, the only thing I have to say about the comments, when they were throwing the former House Speaker out of the House, I called up as many people as I could and said, go for it. We need somebody new because he's a traitor. And I had people hanging up on me out of state. So it's frustrating. So just keep after it and do what you can. Don't think that you don't matter. A couple of phone calls, you get 20, 30, 40, 50 people to make a couple of phone calls, they start to listen because they think, uh-oh, I'm not going to get elected. It's all about being reelected. It's all about the money. It's all about power. It's all about greed. And it's ugly. But I know in my lifetime that I've been fighting nothing but the environmentalists since the 70s. So it's been 40 years in the making. And I congratulate you that you're willing to stand up, and I'd be more than happy to help you out free of charge.
Let's talk. Edna's given me the hook, so we're going to finish this up. Because one thing I've learned in the last 40, 35 years is you don't mess with Edna DeVries. She's the queen of the valley for the reason, and so thank you all for the opportunity.
Well, the one
question that didn't get asked that, and, you know, I don't want to start another 10 minutes on here, but anyway, is this $11 million grant that UAF got to study. So is that already a foregone conclusion, which way they're gonna go? Or is it really on the up and up, or? Does everybody know what I'm talking about? Okay. And I don't know if Rick maybe doesn't want to weigh it.
30 seconds.
Okay.
30-second answer. The feds want to partner with the state and the university to explore how you can open a new coal plant and make it carbon neutral by offsetting your carbon from the emissions from the plant. And they want to do it here in the valley. And they've given $11.1 million to the university to structure this program. My guess, it's gonna look amazing and carbon neutral. In reality, follow the money, follow the money, follow the money, and it's as vaporware as Santa Claus. Yes. Yes, Pat, there is no Santa Claus. I told you 30 seconds.
I was just surprised that somebody didn't ask you about it, so. Yeah. Any announcements that anybody has? Anything, any district meetings coming up or anything like that? Yeah.
I don't have an announcement, but I do want to. If you have federal double E bonds, you might want to cash them in. I tried to cash mine in, and they went AWOL. Treasury says there's no record of them. So mine matured. So be careful, double E bonds, you might want to cash them in. Treasury saying they're non-existent, and I have records that I purchased them. So I'm in stage 5 of fighting the feds. Just wanted to spread the word, you might want to cash them out.
Can I go a couple minutes?
Sure.
Thanks. So I think everybody knows I'm Pat Martin from Alaska Right to Life. Today is Roe versus Wade Day, right? And there's lots to talk about on that, but I wasn't invited to talk about this, but I did send out some flyers that I think everybody should be aware of. And I'm going to give a super quick Civics 101 lesson, and then we can break this down and see what this really means for today. So when the House, or when every legislature starts, the first vote in the House is for the Speaker, and then relatively the next vote is for what you call the Committee on Committees report. The Committee on Committees report is, there's a committee that's chaired by the Speaker of the House. The Speaker of the House says that you're going to be on finance, you're going to be on health and social services, you're going to be on energy, you're going to be on education, you're going to chair this committee, you're going to chair that committee, so on and so forth. The Speaker of the House makes those committee assignments. And the committee votes on that, and they say, yes, we want to go with that. And then that report comes out to the House floor as a single document for a single vote. Every member in the House gets a chance to vote for or against the entirety of that Committee on Committees report. So last year, when the legislature started, when the House was formed, they produced a Committee on Committee report that very specifically, this is broad-based, but my example is specific to the House Finance Committee. We had a Republican-led majority in the House, but in the House Finance Committee, as you see on that sheet with that little chart, you see that somehow we put 2 Democrats in charge of the House Finance Committee with 1 Republican as a co-chair. We put 4 Democrats on that committee, 3 of which are actually Planned Parenthood endorsed abortion advocates. The 4th is just a Democrat abortion advocate. I don't know how you describe them if they're not endorsed, but they still vote for it. On the Republican side, we had 3 freshman legislators, and I didn't denote that on the chart, but 3 freshmen, and we had 5 total Republicans. So in a Republican majority, where the majority of all the chairmanships and seats on every committee are supposed to be Republican, we have on the House Finance Committee a 6-member Democrat majority to a 5-member Republican minority, a 2-member Democrat co-chair majority to a 1-member Republican co-chair minority. So our Speaker of the House and the mostly Republican Committee on Committees created this committee designation or setup, and then this was voted for, what was it, Rick? 39-1. It was voted for in a 39-1 vote to ratify this committee setup. So it was our Republican chairman of the House, or excuse me, Speaker of the House, and all of our Republicans minus 1 that voted to put Planned Parenthood Democrats in charge of our House Finance Committee. Now, this is super critical on the abortion front because, of course, it's been almost 2 years since Roe versus Wade was overruled. The Dobbs opinion that came out of the U.S. Supreme Court said very clearly that there is no right to abortion, nor can one be inferred or interpreted from any provision of the Constitution. The Alaska Constitution is a derivative of the U.S. Constitution. What that means is if you cannot find an abortion right in the U.S. Constitution, you cannot find an abortion right in the Alaska Constitution. If you cannot infer or interpret an abortion right in the U.S. Constitution, you cannot infer or interpret an abortion right in the Alaska Constitution. And just kind of common sense-wise, if you can't find a right to abortion in the Constitution, you most certainly cannot find a right to taxpayer money for abortions in the Constitution. Is that all reasonable?
Yep.
Last year we paid for 700 plus babies to be killed out of your pocket and mine. We flew another 300 plus women to the lower 48 for late-term abortions. We paid all of those expenses for late-term abortions, for the murder of children that are very, very, very well developed. And we did this because our House Republicans put Planned Parenthood in charge of our House Finance Committee, and they sold the whole thing down the river. And this was a year after Roe had been overruled, and it was abundantly clear that there's no right to abortion, nor can one be inferred, nor can one be interpreted. Today, the Speaker of the House reorganized the House because Josiah Pocketok from Barrow resigned last winter. He had to be replaced. His 13 committee assignments had to be reorganized. So the House committee assignments were reorganized, and the Committee on Committees report came out. And of course, and we emailed, we asked, hey, why doesn't our House Finance Committee actually reflect the Republican majority that we have in the House? No answers, no nothing, and we still have exactly that same makeup with 6 Democrats, 3 Planned Parenthood endorsed abortion advocates in charge of our House Finance. That virtually guarantees that we get another full budget year of paying for babies to be murdered unless our governor takes a very specific and different action. So my appeal to everybody here is, Rick was very kind talking about our Republican delegates from the Valley, and there's some good people here, don't misunderstand me. But every single one of our Republican delegates from the Valley, except for one, voted for this twice. And then they voted for the budget itself that pays for those babies to be killed. Some people are like, this isn't my issue. Okay. Some people say this is absolutely despotic. I agree. Wherever we land on this, if we actually want our state to operate in a biblical, in a moral, in a constitutional fashion, this is a prime example of what's not working. And when we talk about calling Representative Sumner because he sponsored some garbage, idiotic, stupid, whatever we called it, energy castration bill, this is far worse. Every single one of our House representatives, Republican House representatives from the Valley, is driving this train, except for one.
Who's the one?
Eastman, of course.
The one they're
Well, no, I think it needs to be named.
Eastman. Eastman's the one. And of course, as a result, Eastman was removed from the House Judiciary Committee today as well. So if you live in District 27, you now have 0 representation in any single committee through the House, while Planned Parenthood endorsed Democrats rule the House. This is not the way it's supposed to work, folks. So, Edna, thank you so much for letting me talk on this. I appreciate it a whole lot.
And seeing that news about the House Judiciary Committee, that's very sad. So, anybody else have any announcements? You have some meetings going on in Anchorage?
Only every Thursday. Third Thursday, AMAC meeting, every third Thursday.
So you still have AMAC going on?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay. Yeah, Bert?
Mat-Su Public Libraries Book Review Committee, another meeting in February, on February 13th. That is supposed to happen. If you did not see the one that happened at Mat-Su Borough Assembly Chambers here last week, please look up the video. It is well worth your time to sit down and watch this. I wanted to bring it to your attention and to the borough's attention that one of the members sitting on that borough, the public library committee is targeting local businesses if they show any support that is opposite of what that review board is saying up there at the podium. One of the members has publicly gone out and targeted one of the businesses, telling them they're going after them, telling everybody not to go to their business, all because, hence, they support what I do out there and live streamed it from the start to end, and they don't appreciate what had happened. Now they're going after businesses that had nothing to do with what they were doing, other than that they support what I was doing. That's it.
Neighbor. What's her name?
Kathy Kaiser.
He needs to be ousted. What's your business?
Tomorrow night. She worked for UAF, Friends of the Family.
She's coming to this one.
Organization. She's very much a political activist.
Okay.
If I understand this right, it's the Palmer City Council meeting, and there's been some people going around trying to get these libraries to quit having all the pornography books now, distributing to children, and this subject is going to be brought up. It's good to go and support that. We were late getting here tonight. We went to the Wasilla, and I'll tell you what, these people that are pushing this pornography are they're pretty local. And I went to that meeting last week in the Borough Chambers, and all the review committee people are all librarians, and they set the agenda, and they have the meeting the way they want. And they don't let you comment, they don't let you do anything. You have a person present and read tell them how smutty the book is, but they won't let anybody sit there comment. And luckily, one borough assembly person had the courage to attend that meeting. It was Dean McKee, and I don't think she was too impressed that nobody could say anything. So something needs to be done in these borough libraries and the Palmer and the Wasilla Library. And Jackie Goldforth and some other people are doing a fantastic job, but they need support. They need to hear from people. Thank you so much.
Yeah, the review committee is made up of 2 librarians that are employed by the borough and 2 people from the library board. And so there's a difference. There's a difference there. And as you know, there's 9 members on the library board, and we just appointed 3 additional to the 1 conservative that we had on there. So we do not have a majority yet, but we will continue to push that. So anybody else? Yeah, go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, Senator Hughes is asking for some support with SB 173, the Safe Schools Act. which allows teachers and administration to actually carry guns in the classrooms. It's, it's a great deterrent. If people know that there's weapons, they tend to stay away, and it helps our kids. Well, come Wednesday at 1:30 is public testimony. So this is the time, either send your letters or make your phone calls, but let them know that we support it.
And isn't she going to be back on the 27th for a coffee
Yes.
chat? Yeah, but I don't know where that's at. Does it say? Because she had, when we had the legislative meeting over in Wasilla, she didn't have a place at that time, so I don't know where the
She
one
has
for
it,
27th.
it's Church on the Rock in Palmer.
Okay.
I believe it is.
It's on Scott Road. You go outside of Palmer, like you're going to Sutton, and at the very top, halfway up Bailey Hill on the left, there will be a sign there on the corner, and it's Scott Road, and you just go down, about a block and a half, and the church is on the right. It's the only church up there, so.
It's from 9 to 10:30. If anybody wants the address, it's 619 East Scott Road. On the 27th, from 9 to 10:30.
Okay. Anybody else have any other announcements? Okay. All righty, if you all stand, I'll do a closing prayer. So Lord, again, we thank you for this great country that we can have this type of meetings, Lord. We know, Lord, that our darkness is penetrating almost every area of our life, Lord. But Lord, you have called us to be a light in the darkness, Lord, and we will not shrink back, Lord. We will fulfill the plan and purpose that you have for each one of our lives, and the plan and purpose that you have for this borough, and the plan and purpose you have for this state. And Lord, we will not shrink back. We will push forward. We will make those phone calls. We will send in that money. We will do as you direct us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Okay, my fellow Alaskans, you know what to do. Like, share, click that button to subscribe. Make sure you know we've gone live every time. Sorry for the delayed start on this. I really wanted to be here tonight, but after finding out what the Matsu Board of Book Review for the public libraries had to say, that and what they were planning, that have been doing to people out there that don't agree with what they say, going after people that has absolutely nothing, didn't even know their review was going on, targeting their businesses, trying to get them shut down, because that's what the left does. If you don't subscribe, you don't do what they tell you to do, you don't buy into the garbage that they are telling you to believe in, because you actually got a brain and you're not an idiot, then it's appalling. Like and share this video. I wish I could have caught it all from the very beginning. Find this on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and anywhere else you may subscribe. Also on Rumble. Thank you guys all for being here tonight. We will see you the next time